pure pandemonium over here at Black Comic Lords, y'all. What's up, everyone? What's up, Black Comic Lords? What's up to everybody in the chat? We have another dope creator interview for you. I am writing solo yet again. Derek is out on mission with his family. So I have to do both the interview and production stuff, which you guys know I hate to do. But we're going to do the best we can with what we have. But look, it's been a long time since I've had some Black Panther material to run with. So I am terribly excited about that. With that, I have to do a proper introduction, of course. Bombay, are you guys ready? What's up to everybody in the chat? We got World at War Comics. How you doing? AJ, Jay Carter, Marwan Williams in the house, Patrick Sargent in the house. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Everyone, before we get started, please hit the like button, share this video, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to Black Comic Lords. It helps us to put out all of this content for you. So tonight we're talking about Black Panther Intergalactic. Now, I recognize the fact that we may have amongst us some fans that may not be all that familiar with this aspect of the Black Panther. There may be some more casual people, which is fine, who are more familiar with the MCU version of T'Challa and are scratching their heads and going, Black Panther in space? Like, what? Black Panther's not in space. Why is Black Panther in space? That doesn't. He wasn't in space in the movie. Like, what's going on? So we have to give you some backstory. And where we start is with this: Avengers: Secret Wars. Now, you should be familiar with the concept that this film is coming out. Avengers: Secret Wars. Comic book fans will tell you that they have a great deal of anticipation for this film for a number of reasons, primarily the possible rebooting of the entire MCU. Recasttchalla. Just so you know. So, but understand the concept of the film, the anticipation that comic book fans have towards this film, all stem from the original source material, which is in the comics from 2015, written by the great Jonathan Hickman. Now, there's a lot that goes on in this book, and not all of that's relevant to the discussion for tonight. But the most important part you need to know is this: the Black Panther, his birth mother, Naomi, was a scientist, and she had theorized prior to her death that the source of vibranium could be found out in space. They all know that vibranium landed in Wakanda and was the great mine. It was a meteorite, but where did it come from? So she wanted to explore that. T'Challa decided, in order to honor his mother, he wanted to gather the best and the brightest minds in Wakanda, some of them royalty themselves, some of them even descending from Black Panthers of old, and send them out into space to try and find the origins of vibranium. But they disappeared. Nobody had heard from them ever again. Now, T'Challa, always feeling responsible about his loyal subjects, decides to get a starship, grab his boy Manifold, and said, hey, let's go find these kids. They travel through space, super speed, what have you, and find the intergalactic empire of Wakanda on a whole nother side of the galaxy. In this intergalactic empire, it becomes revealed that these astronauts that T'Challa sent out went through a wormhole, went back in time, and were displaced to another part of the universe, where they founded an empire based on Wakanda's ideology, folklore, history, etc. They merged their descendants with those of aliens of that sector and formed an empire. And as many empires do, it became evil. So when T'Challa encountered this empire, He was quickly found out who he was, and long story short, he was imprisoned, his mind was wiped, and he became a slave. What happened thereafter is something that you should definitely read in Ta-Nehisi Coates' volume 2 of his run on Black Panther. T'Challa works his way up from being a slave to being a member of the rebellion, or a Maroon, and becoming a rebellion leader and a hero, and ultimately gets his memory back and decides to fight to bring down the Empire and free the slaves and make everything good and hunky-dory in the universe again. To that end, he invites his pals, all the black superheroes that have passports, to come to Wakanda to help fight and destroy the Empire and bring freedom to all throughout the universe. They were successful. And as a promotion and congratulations, thankfulness of the people, T'Challa was elevated from king to emperor. So he was king of Wakanda on Earth, but he was also the new emperor of the intergalactic empire of Wakanda throughout space. Now, T'Challa's not much for duties. I mean, he's about that action. I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't like all the stuff, the pomp and ceremony that comes with being royalty all the time. So he decided, look, I'm going to abdicate the role of running the empire to my buddy M'Baku. Now you're saying, oh, I thought M'Baku died. It's a new M'Baku. Don't ask too many questions. Just roll with it. Ask M'Baku to be the regent of the empire on his behalf. So M'Baku will run the empire. T'Challa will stay on Earth, be king of Wakanda, and everything will be cool. He can hang out with the royal, who's his girl at this point, and focus on being a superhero. However, what subsequently happened was a run that I, of course, if you're familiar with this channel, know I don't acknowledge, nor will I say the name of the writer who made this run. But the most important thing you need to know is that in that run, T'Challa lost his role as king of Wakanda. So T'Challa in the next run by Eve Ewing became basically a vigilante hero, Batman type, for all intents and purposes, of Wakanda, fighting Wakandan mafia and mobsters and what have you, as he tries to still play the role of being a superhero and finding himself in this new position of no longer being king. But it is revealed in that run that although he is not king, he is still emperor of the intergalactic empire. And then subsequent to that, he is later made a vampire and has to call on Bass to fix him. That part's not relevant at all, but that story is really, really dope, and you really should read it, just as an FYI. Anywho, so that brings us to Imperial. Jonathan Hickman steps back into the fold of writing T'Challa and establishes a great deal of intrigue. He recognizes the fact that the intergalactic empire exists and is framed for murders of various leaders of various empires throughout the universe. So not only is Wakanda framed for these murders, M'Baku is almost killed. An assassination attempt is made on his life by a Skrull impersonating Wakanda. Shuri is captured by the other factions, the other galactic empires. And she quickly realizes that Wakanda is being set up. It's during this time that she explains that Wakanda has given up on its little, how should I say, experiment with democracy, and has decided to go back to the old ways of having a strong monarch to watch over and protect them. T'Challa has returned to his role as not only the emperor of the empire, but as king of Wakanda on Earth. So the king is back, which leads us to the run of Imperial War by Victor Lavalle. who is our guest tonight. Victor Lavalle is the author of the short story collection Slapboxing with Jesus, 5 novels, The Ecstatic, Big Machine, Devil in Silver, The Changeling, The Lone Women, and 2 novellas, Lucretia and the Croons, and The Ballad of Black Tom. He's also the creator and writer of 2 comic books, Victor Lavalle's Destroyer and Eve. His novel, The Changeling, will soon be airing on Apple TV Plus, starring Lakeith Stanfield. He's been the recipient of numerous awards, including the World Fantasy Award, the British Fantasy Award, the Bram Stoker Award, the Whiting Writers Award, a Guggenheim Fellowship, a Shirley Jackson Award, American Book Award, and the Key to Southeast Queens. He was raised in Queens, New York. He now lives in the Bronx with his wife, the writer Emily Rabateau, and their kids. He teaches at Columbia University, a school that did not let me in. I'm still a little bitter about that. But with that being said, let's bring on Mr. Victor Lavalle.
It's good to be here. Thank you for that introduction and for
Thank you for being here. How to do the recap.
Yes.
I went 2 minutes over. I apologize for that. I try to keep it under 10 minutes. So, I mean, look, you're a writer I've known about for a while. You wrote Destroyer, fantastic book. You got a lot of accolades about that. Went on to write Eve, which was a very popular book. You and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
And what's not mentioned in the bio I just read from was the stuff you did for Marvel, from Wolverine to Sabretooth and the Exiles, which was a fantastic run.
Thanks.
I loved the fact that it was actually connected, the storylines you wrote from Wolverine to Sabretooth and the Exiles. I thought that was incredibly dope. And then you brought back Necra and made Necra relevant again.
I appreciate that.
And invented a new character, Third Eye, who's still not being used properly, but that's a whole nother interview.
But I love Third Eye. I agree.
I love Third Eye too. So let's bring us back to Imperial War. You start the story. Shuri, this is still in the midst of the Imperial storyline. Shuri's been captured. You have this dope scene where T'Challa knows his sister's captured. He goes to Guardian of the Shi'ar. He goes, Guardian, I got respect for you. You're a man of honor. Big ups to you. You captured my sister. Yes, I captured your sister. Okay. Is she good? Yeah, she's good. Okay. Just understand, we're going to work together to resolve this whole problem about the people framing us and trying to make us go to war. But after it's done, it's going to be me and you, man. It's going to be me and you. Just recognize. Okay. Dope scene. Dope scene.
You liked it. I liked writing it.
Man, why was that scene important for you?
Well, I knew I was jumping into the Black Panther, who had some ups and downs in more recent times.
It's a very diplomatic way of putting it, but yes.
And I just wanted to, in a way, very clearly state right from the beginning, in a sense, like what energy my Black Panther would be bringing. And the energy that my Black Panther would be bringing was, you put your hands on my sister, you and me are gonna, as we used to say, we're gonna have a fight at some point in the future. That is a promise I'm making you now. I don't know when it will happen, but it will happen. And I just thought, if that's the T'Challa that I show here, anyone who wasn't sure or had fears about the kind of T'Challa I would write, hopefully would be put at ease. Or be excited even by that one.
Absolutely. So then you have the scene where T'Challa's explaining, look, I know you guys think that we're the big bad. You've all been duped. I can either crush you all because I've got my fleet out here. They have their guns literally aimed at you. I have you outgunned, outclassed. I could wipe you off the planet, off the universe with a flick of my finger. But I think there's an opportunity here for us to work together and find out who's the big bad behind all this. So what do you guys say? Do I crush you or do we work together? Another flex
Another flex, yes.
within pages of each other. Look, you
But a
mentioned the fact
diplomat.
that there, there have been some in recent times portrayals of T'Challa that were, what's the nice diplomatic way of saying it? Uncharacteristic of the character. I'll just say it like that.
Okay.
Um, I love the fact that you brought my boy back and got his swag back
Yeah.
and let him flex a bit. Why'd you do that?
I mean, because that's the Black Panther that I love most too. But the other thing is like in that second panel, when he's talking to all the empires who are there, I did want it to be like he makes a flex, like I could kill you all, but he's also showing why he's the emperor. That he's also it's a diplomatic offer,
Yeah.
right? That's basically like we could keep going to war, but that's a stupid thing for all of us to do. Lots of our people would die. Even if we beat you, people on our side are going to die. So I'm saying to you, be smart. Everybody put down your weapons, concede, and then we can actually act like adults and figure out who's behind it all. And I don't want to ruin the reveals for Imperial for anyone who hadn't read the whole series there.
Right.
But certainly Wakanda was not behind all the evil that was happening.
Chat, I see people are asking questions. We will get to questions at the end. I'm starring all your questions, and we'll do a rapid fire question and answer session at the end. All right. So suffice it to say, they're able to work out some things as all this is going on. A certain faction that is in the discussions decides to break the temporary truce and attack Wakanda Prime. That's the country. That's the planet. That's part of the empire out in space. There's a scientist who has his son, and they're seeking shelter from the attack. They go to one of the outposts, Wakandan outpost. But unfortunately, the father's killed in the blast. T'Challa comes across the boy who has his dead father, lying on top of him. To me, this scene was emotional because I think about how T'Challa, who was pretty much the same age as this boy, or maybe a little bit younger, lost his own father to violence. Is that something that you did intentionally?
For sure, for sure. I mean, I definitely wanted it to be that T'Challa would feel, especially like he understood what this kid had lost.
So T'Challa, therefore, tells his soldiers, "Look, take care of this kid. Take him back home. Find him a nice place. Let's take care of him." But ominously, the kid's like, "You don't know what you've done, T'Challa. You don't know what you've done, and what you're going to find out." It's like dun dun dun
Yeah,
type
very
moment.
much. Yes.
Foreshadowing much. But then it's like the story ends and we don't find out really what he meant by that statement. But towards the end of Imperial, Hickman has a scene where Shuri's talking to her brother. Interestingly enough, I loved your version of Shuri, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But Hickman has Shuri talking to her brother, saying, "Look, you kind of humbled yourself before these leaders because they disrespected us, they disrespected Wakanda, accused us of a crime we didn't commit, started this stupid war, and you actually made peace with them rather than sought to seek blood oath retaliation. Why?" He's like, "Yeah, well, bigger picture, I have bigger plans. Take a look." And that's where the story ends. Take a look. What is T'Challa's plans for the future of the Empire? Bring in Black Panther Intergalactic. Who's the woman on this cover? Is that Shuri?
That's Shuri. That's Shuri.
Okay.
It's Shuri, Femi, and then Black Panther in the middle.
All right. We've got some dope covers here. I have no idea what Luciano Vecchio was doing with the T'Challa skiing cover.
The skiing one is great.
I,
Just
I
complete left field.
it makes no sense. I mean, Luciano Vecchio is a brilliant artist, but thematically, I have no idea what the purpose of this was.
I wonder if it's going to turn out like, of all the variants, which are all beautiful, if that's going to be some special collector edition just for the like what? For the surprise factor.
I really hope not. I don't want to do any spoilers, but can you confirm that T'Challa will not be skiing in your run?
I promise there's no skiing.
There's no skiing.
Run. There's no skiing.
You've all heard it here. You can go ahead and buy this cover, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the storyline that Victor's writing. All right. We jump into it. Why don't you talk about your team working on this?
I mean, it's amazing, especially Stefano. When you see what Stefano Nessi is doing, and then Brian with his colors.
Oh, pops.
Amazing. But yeah. Stefano is going to take some real big swings in this issue. But I'm promising you, as you go through 2 through 4, like it's amazing. This, like, you're going to turn a page and just go, oh, like a number of times per issue. That's all I'm going to say as my, I don't want to spoil what you're going to be saying that about, but it is going to be, I promise you, moments where you're just like, oh, all right, that's what we're doing.
And I love the covers by Cafu, this one on the left, who did your art on your Imperial War Black Panther.
That's right.
Fantastic artist. I think the first time I remember seeing his art was on the Iron Man series several years ago.
Okay.
But absolutely fantastic artist.
It's beautiful.
Really, so, yeah. All right. So let's jump into it. You immediately, I mean, we go from, hey, take a look, to, huh?
Well, you gotta,
on this strange new world. Pink skies, 2 suns, clearly not Earth, being attacked by what I thought first was the god Shugar. Read the Storm series if you don't know what I'm talking about. But this big snake, and he realizes the snake is just a mother snake trying to protect its young, protect its eggs. Why did you start the story in this manner?
Well, I was hoping that people who had read the Imperial series in particular were like, I felt like the thing you might expect is like, okay, we'll begin in the throne room on one of the planets on Wakanda Prime, or back on Earth, or we'll be in a spaceship or something like that. So I was really trying to think, like, how do I tell you that we're going on an adventure, but it's not going to go in all the places you would expect right away. Yeah. And I thought, like, the best way to do that is to throw T'Challa on a completely unknown planet. And then the other thing I wanted to do, at least at the start, is to isolate him, because at the end of Imperial also, he's the leader of an empire, but on a certain level, I want to start with him as an individual, and then we kind of build as the story expands. So that was the thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Jed McKay did a similar thing recently in Avengers, where when Storm joined the Avengers, he turned into a big wuss and said, "I don't want to deal with my ex, so I'm just going to go off planet and go take over a planet by myself." And so, I mean, I thought that was kind of unique, because you both had him leave to go to an alien world by himself.
Yes,
and left him isolated when things got complicated politically, so to speak.
Yes, that's interesting. I didn't know that Jed had done that. So
yeah. The Avengers 20 through 31, somewhere of those issues.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so then we clearly he views that he's on an alien world. There's 2 suns, the sky's different color, monster snakes. But then he sees Khazar. Is it Khazar or Khazar? I can never.
I always said Khazar, but I don't know.
I always said Khazar too. So let's roll with Khazar. Khazar and his big cat Zabu. Is it Zabu?
Yes.
Yeah, Zabu. And he's like, "Yo, chill. We're homies. Like, we've gone on adventures together. We fought side by side." either fight or die. So I was like, all right, I gotta fight you. T'Challa, to his credit, tries to just, injure Zabu, not kill Zabu, stab Zabu, and notices that it has this blue blood. And Zabu immediately dies, so to speak. And then he realizes these things are artificial. I was completely confused at this moment.
Okay.
Because we
Fair.
just finished a storyline where Skrulls were involved.
Yes.
Where M'Baku is literally stabbed by a Wakandan who was actually a Skrull.
Yes.
And I'm getting all these Michael Bendis Secret Invasion vibes in the storyline.
Right.
And now they're not Skrulls. Skrull's blood is green. This blood is blue. And they're actually artificial constructs. So I'm terribly confused. But the story deepens. T'Challa's been gone for like 3 days. And Shuri, who is now the consul to the king/emperor of Wakanda, T'Challa gave her that title, goes to talk to the one person who has the most information in the empire, the former regent, M'Baku, who's still recovering from being stabbed. Now she goes to visit M'Baku and is greeted by these soldiers. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, M'Baku is sort of like holed up, hidden away. He doesn't know who he can trust because, as you said, he got backstabbed literally by a Skrull who looked like a Wakandan. So he's basically hidden away in his like compound of his own, and he's basically put together his own personal security force that he calls the Ebony Guard.
Where did you get that name from?
I just thought it sounded cool.
It does. That's why I asked you.
I just thought I was like, what should he call them? And I just thought Ebony Guard sounded nice.
And the whole black and red ninja outfit thing.
Yes.
Did you have input on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I gave some general sense of what I hoped they would look like, and then Stefano Nessi basically came up with, I think, about 6 designs, like variations, and then this was the one we came up with that we thought was best, and also looked like you could actually fight in it. Some of them were a little more like had capes and things like that you would say I wouldn't. A security detail could not fight off an enemy if they're trying to get the cape off their arm while they're shooting a gun. So,
I'm into like these like action figures and stuff, and customizing action figures of characters that don't exist. I would definitely want a customize one of these ebony guards. I just think they look good.
I think it would look, and the one thing I'll point out there that it's so small and I don't think it necessarily would be noticed, but like we also were coming up with the idea of like, how do you know, like they're not all the same level of ability, right? Like there's junior to senior, and so on their foreheads, on their masks, they have either, if they have 3 dots, they're the highest level. If they have 2 dots, they're the middle. 1 dot, they're the novices, like the training ones. And it was that idea that in that way you could immediately look at them and know what level of ebony guard you were facing.
I thought it was I also noticed that some of them have the stripes on the shoulder. I thought that might have been the rank or what have you, but that's good. The things in the head. So it was an interesting exchange between Shuri, and this is what I meant before, but I like your portrayal of Shuri here. There have been various iterations of the character Shuri. When Reggie Hudlin first created the character in his run, she was a hothead.
Yeah.
It was not about she being a brilliant scientist or engineer or what have you. It was just she was the hothead little sister who really believed that she should have been the Black Panther over her brother.
Right.
When she ultimately did become Black Panther, she was the one who would literally be in a meeting with all of her counselors and taking in all of the input. Like, we should try this, we should try this, we should try diplomacy. And she'd sit there and just go, yeah, okay. And you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want to fight. Let's go to war.
Right.
That was Shuri. I like that version of her.
Yeah.
Not that she can't have that version and also be super smart, but I thought subsequently they made her more of a nerd and took away that edge that she had. And you saw the first glimpse of that. I mean, shout out to Jonathan Hickman. I think he really gets what I like about T'Challa a lot, because he brought back that version of Shuri in this run, had her put back on her Black Panther garb and fight. But you had the scene, and I'm kicking myself because I didn't show the picture here, where she's literally asking M'Baku, so you let me get it straight. You're no longer regent of the empire, right? I'm the consul, so technically I kind of outrank you at this time. And you got your boys here, you little ninja dudes, stopping me at the door of the palace that I'm the counsel of, and saying, "Hey, we need to check you for weapons. We need to pat you down. You're gonna pat me down? I'm princess and count. You're gonna pat me down? Me?" And she's like, "All right, hurry up, let's go." What's up with the soldiers, M'Baku? I feel some kind of way because I was stabbed by some Wakanda. Well, he was a Skrull, yeah, but I can't trust anybody. So let me get it straight. M'Baku, are you building your own army? It sounds like something that you might do as part of a coup. And then as she says that, you see her hand flex with the claws. Like, am I going to have to rip out this dude's throat based on the next words that come out his mouth? That was classic Shuri. That was classic Shuri. Man, I literally was like, yes. Thank you.
I'm glad you like that she had that fire.
She had that fire. Thank you for bringing back that action. I need action Shuri. So that was cool. So T'Challa's out. We get a bit of a flashback as to what happened prior to his disappearance. Him being the honorable cat that he is, the father who had died with the son. He decides to. He lives in an agricultural society, and he wants to go bury him, follow the proper burial rites, and bury him. And as he's investigating who this person is, he finds out that he is this top scientist for the prior intergalactic empire with N'Jadaka, who was going to kill him because the scientist, quite frankly, is a bit of an arrogant prick, but he's brilliant. And he develops this thing called the core, and he doesn't know what it is.
The crown.
Sorry, not the core, crown. And he doesn't know what it is. But it's so valuable to N'Jadaka that he spares his life and actually gives him a free ticket, like a free open check to do whatever research he wants, unlimited budget, make it happen, and nobody hears from him since. And that's all the information T'Challa has on it. And so at this point, I'm like really just down the rabbit well. I have no idea where Victor's going with this, man. This is the intrigue, the mystery is just building. This is all one freaking issue. I like that. And you did world building too, by the way, which I appreciate. The fact that you talked about yet another facet of Wakandan society, this agricultural society. They have their own traditions. Talking more about not forgetting the fact that there was this whole world that existed prior to T'Challa becoming the emperor of this empire. There are things that happened that he still has to reconcile now that he's the emperor. So great world building.
Thanks.
So Shuri decides to go find the boy to find out more information. Talk about this scene here.
Well, I mean, this is like I wanted it to be a Black Panther book and a Shuri book, like that. At least to me, one of the things I love the most is when they are a brother and sister team who love each other and support each other. Do you know what I mean?
Now, was that your idea, or did Marvel tell you, "Hey, we want you to do a book that has that"?
No, actually, if I'm being totally transparent, originally it was a Shuri book with just Shuri and Femi, right? And it was going to be a little bit. I mean, it's nothing new, but like a little lone wolf and cubbish.
Oh,
and it was going to be like her raising him up since he lost his father in the ways of like the mind and the warrior, that kind of thing together. And then we were talking some more and agreeing like that's interesting, but then if T'Challa could be in it too, then you get to have the whole mix and you get to have more than one story going. Um, so then basically my original pitch, and then they said, so if you did bring in T'Challa, what would your story be for him? And I said, oh, actually, I have an idea based on what happened in Imperial. There is something I would love to see happen for Black Panther. And then they said, oh, how about we find a way to mesh those things together? And so that was how, like, what this story will be, and it's 4 issues in the end, was what came from that.
And it works because that them working together side by side had already been established in Hickman's Imperial,
Right.
where they were approaching the war from both sides, and she was working with each other, and it was established that he had made her his counsel.
Yes.
So that would establish that they would be working more closely together.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like what Hickman, I agree with you, is brilliant, obviously in general, but with particularly with T'Challa, I just felt like let me just take it as like take the baton from what he set up, as opposed to just let me restart everything all over again,
right?
Kind of thing. So that was it. And so basically, it was like, here now she's got to go find Femi, because I'm hoping the flashback makes you start to put together at least a little bit, like whatever, when T'Challa went out there to bury this man, the father of this kid, something happened then, because that was 3 days earlier. So something happened there. And so she's like, well, let me go to the one person who might have an answer. Let me go find the boy. Let me find Femi.
Well, the boy's not very forthcoming initially.
No.
It's not until Shuri takes the boy back to his home planet, where his father died, and she sees that T'Challa actually honored their traditions, that the boy decides, hey, I need to open. He opens up. Mm-hmm. He's kind of touched by the fact that T'Challa isn't the man that he thought he was, so to speak. Right. So he decides to give Shuri some information. What did he reveal here?
Well, he basically reveals that his father created this device, the crown, created something of incredible power, but the way to get to it is sort of inside the house where they once lived. And if she wants to find out where T'Challa is, essentially they have to go in there. They have to go back into the compound, and then that will lead them on their path. That will lead them where they need to go. Broadly speaking.
Yeah. So, I mean, the technology the father has is artificial life, intelligence, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And T'Challa encounters that with Kazar and Zabu.
Yes.
So he sees this obelisk in the jungle, approaches it, and is immediately sucked up. And that's the last we see of him. And then we see M'Baku decide to reach out to the palace to do his investigation. And who does he come across? T'Challa. Or is he?
Yeah, or is he?
Or is he? So you pull out this whole Michael Bendis twist at the end. And I'm like, Victor Lavalle, man. He packed all that into one issue.
I'm glad it felt packed in. And the only things I want to say, I want to promise it's not a Skrull thing, as wonderful as Secret Invasion was. That is not the direction that this story is going. We've read that. It was amazing. This is despite the fact that there is seemingly like, is this the real T'Challa, or was that guy on the planet the real T'Challa? There was Kazar, artificial life. Where we're going over the next 3 issues is not what that story did. It's a new lane. Now
I'm really, really intrigued. Because now I really have no expectations. I have no idea what to expect.
I will only promise you it's not just a rehash of that.
All right. Well, next issue. The solicits have already been made on the covers. We've got more of the snake. Somebody made a comment about the snake cover here being very reminiscent of one from Jungle Action back in the day.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's dope. That's
Yeah.
absolutely dope. And the same yellow color on that cover too. So that's
Okay.
I don't know if anyone picked up on that.
I mean, if I had any say, if I had any say in covers, I would be able to confirm or deny. But especially the variants,
Yeah.
I get to enjoy finding out what they'll be the same time everybody else does.
All right. What can you tell us is going to happen in issue 2? No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But give us a taste of what we can expect.
Well, I'm gonna say the thing I will say is like even the cover that you see there, what is very fun about it is I promise you, you think you understand who he is facing in that image,
It better
but
not be Dr. Octopus.
but you do not understand who he is facing in that image, or you
Okay.
won't guess who or what he is facing in that image and how that leads into this larger story, and across the span of it's, as I said, it's a 4-issue run, so it's very short. But I had
Okay.
a very coming out of Imperial, and that last panel you showed when he is pointing out to the stars, and he says, "Take a look." Like when Shuri says to T'Challa, "What do you want to do next?" And then he points out to the cosmos and he says, "Take a look." That was the spark for me to say, like, okay, this 4-issue run, there's going to be a lot of great action and stuff, but there's going to be one outcome at the end of this that will make you understand in some deeper and bigger way what his plan was, what his plan is for the Empire, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, and how this run will help the Empire reach that goal.
So that will happen in this
No,
story.
I'm just saying it will, like, because it's only 4 issues, right? So it's not going to be it wasn't possible to make it the full galactic opera where they do a whole everything, but like by the end of it, I think it will set up how the next phase of the Galactic Empire of Wakanda will thrive and even expand. Maybe I'll say that.
Yeah. All
And
right.
that's
I'm here
probably
for it.
yeah.
I was a big fan of Ta-Nehisi Coates Volume 2, The Intergalactic Empire.
I thought it was great.
In large part because it is a true Afrofuturist story.
Yes.
In Marvel. I mean, it's 100% an Afrofuturist story, like undeniably so. I'm surprised, honestly, Marvel greenlit the concept because that was some hardcore science fiction writing.
For sure. But I mean, I do think, it's to Ta-Nehisi's credit, like, to take that first run doing well and doing so well, and then he's, essentially helping to seed the Black Panther movie, right, with at least some of its ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
And then for Ta-Nehisi to be a world-shaking, world-famous writer outside of comics as well, I appreciated that he used his capital to say, I don't want to tell a story, like, not to say I just want to redo what I just did, but to say I want to go in this whole other direction, and I want to take like just a step into outer space.
Yeah.
And readers be on that journey. And I just thought it was such a bold and exciting choice of what to do with the capital he had earned,
I agree with you 100%. All right. We also have solicits for issue 3. Now, let's start with the one on the right. You've got the Cosmic Invasion. I assume there's no video game stuff in this. There's no ties to the video game.
No.
That's just to sell books. That's fine. But this one on the left,
yes,
we've got the Juggernaut.
Looks like that, doesn't it?
Okay, that answers my question.
but is it? I mean, I promise you there as well. It's going to be. It's going to take a turn that also I really, really hope and believe is going to be a surprising and exciting, like, oh, that's what that cover was doing. That's what that meant.
You're messing with my mind, bro. Messing with my mind. All right. So I promised that we were going to get into some questions. So let's do that now.
Let's do that.
Let's get you over here. Oh, common sense with the super chat questions get the highest priority. Thank you for the $1, sir. Appreciate the love. And with that,
I like that.
thank you for the super chat. So this is the question from Common Senses. So this comic won't become an ongoing if it's sold well. Like if comics issue 1 and 2 get second printings, the comic becomes ongoing like Helverine.
I mean, honestly, that is a question that is above my pay grade. I would love for that to be the case. I have absolutely story, like the place where this run, these 4 issues will end, for me could be easily the springboard to a whole bunch of story that I would love to tell. But honestly, like I'm not the person who can answer that. Like I've got the 4. We've done 3. I'm finishing up the script for the 4th. And then so it's basically it will end in a way that like if it doesn't go on, I think readers will be really satisfied with, all right, we got to this. And then if they were to call me up and say like it sold really well, people are really excited, do you have more? I would say I absolutely have more.
Thank you for that. I was, as you were giving that tremendously great answer, I was completely distracted by that mask that's on the shelf behind you to your right.
My buddy here.
I've been doing this monthly series called Stormwatch, interviewing Maria Ayudeli on his Storm run, and he has this character called Igun, which is this evil god, and that his face looks identical to that mask.
Is that right? Oh my god!
So I'm bugging out right now because I'm like, we just did a show last night in which we're going into detail about a goon, and he looks tremendously like that mask. So I'm like,
look at that.
What's going on? The second time.
Serendipitous.
Yeah, it's weird. All right. So next question. How were you able to show T'Challa being the noble royal, the savvy leader, the keen intellectual, and the adept gadget man all in one? This is what I'm saying. Brother he packed in real T'Challa, real Shuri for that matter, in one issue.
Well, if you feel like I was able to get all those different elements or versions of T'Challa into the one issue, then I'm really, really happy. That's really just what I wanted, was just to sort of say like this is, and I mean that to again to credit Hickman, I really feel like Imperial, but even Bloodhunt was doing that, right? Like I mean, like he was rising in his power there. I mean, he's consorting with goddesses, let's say.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to just continue that kind of upward trajectory for him, and just to say, obviously nobody's perfect. It's not, the point isn't perfection, but the point is a man of many great qualities.
Absolutely. He's the man that women want and men want to be.
That's it. Actually, you know, the funny thing is, for me, like in a way, the sort of the thing I had in my head was, you know, Ossie Davis's not obituary. I'm forgetting what the right word for it is, but what he wrote about Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. The foreword.
Yes, and where he basically just says like the whole thing about like he was this, he was that, but did you ever see him smile? Did you ever see him, like that idea that, and then at the end when he says he was our shining black manhood, that like I was just sort of like, that's the energy,
right?
Where you say like he did fight, but the other thing was if he knew you and loved you, he smiled at you, he gave you his love too. That was kind of what was in my head.
That's dope. Let's go to the next question here. Hey, listen, while we're going, please, everyone who's watching, do us a solid here at Black Comic Lords. Take a sec, hit the like button, share the video if you have social media, go ahead and share the videos somewhere. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. So if you like shows like this, we do them all the time. You'll know when they're coming on by subscribing to the channel. Costs you nothing to do any of those things. All right. Next question. Will there be another Eve run anytime soon?
Definitely not soon, because Boom, I mean, even just because Boom got sold to Random House, so even who is like who the editors are and all the rest is not. I don't know if it's even the same folks.
Right? I didn't even know Boom got sold to Random House.
Yeah, it was bought up by Random House.
Oh, wow.
I spoke to a couple of people there. They seemed like definitely they wanted to keep it as Boom, like as a true indie comic. Well, not indie anymore, I guess, but as a true comic vein. Like they weren't going to try to turn it into something that cross promotes with other parts of Random House or anything like that. But what it does mean is there's not a direct channel in the same way that there used to be. So if I had an idea, I could pitch something to them. Right. So in the short answer, which is too late to give, is no, not yet.
All right, next question. Will there be any implementation of T'Challa using his powers as the King of the Dead?
That part, probably not. That part, at least as I have things laid out, the abilities he uses, excuse me, the powers he uses, it doesn't, nothing in the story sort of lends itself to that, again, especially in 4 issues, right? Like if I knew I had 10, 12, 25, something like that, I feel like there would be room to really play with all the different elements he had. But the thing I didn't want was, by the time you get to the end of this, for you to be like, well, none of these, it was like he was one Black Panther in this issue, then the next issue he was a different one, then next. I didn't want that to happen because I didn't have that much time.
Yeah. And then the nature of what you're doing with the artificial stuff is not lend itself to the dead, unless he did make this mention in the story about androids are constructs that have flesh on top of them.
Yes,
something like that. So reanimating dead bodies, then technically his powers might work on that if
that's
you want
true.
to stretch the story that way. All right. Will there be? Oh, it's the same question. Mr. Lavalle, do you think that Grayson Creed can be truly redeemed into a good guy, just like Norman Osborn? Talking about your Sabretooth run, which is just, y'all. If you like his writing, please check out his Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Sabretooth in the Exiles runs.
I appreciate
fantastic runs. Fantastic.
And I would say I really do appreciate that. And I personally, I don't think I want to check. Is it so? Grayson Creed, meaning the
son of Sabretooth.
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I feel like the answer is no. But then I do believe in rehabilitation for everyone except Victor Creed. He might be the only person I don't think can be turned into a good person. So, Dad, no. Son, maybe.
Are we going to see any appearance of the Wakandans like Tosin Oduye or Gentle? I thought Tosin, the Marubi tribe, and the Mute Zone of Ziera were nice additions. Moreover, there's always room for Gentle. I mean, go ahead and answer.
No, please.
I was going to just make a comment. Although that is a run that I don't like, I feel very strongly about that. I wouldn't mind seeing the Marube tribe or Tosin show up again in the future.
I agree with you. I would say not in this run, maybe if I'm being completely honest, just because of where it turns out we're just too far away for them to show up in this.
Yeah. All right, next one. When you had T'Challa fight a snake, was that a nod to the classical T'Challa's phobias and strong dislikes about snakes?
You know, actually, for me, it was like it was more. I was trying to nod to like the old like Conan the Barbarian, like the old Robert E. Howard runs of like just a powerful man out in the wastelands fighting monstrous creatures, and I just wanted the fun of like that for a minute. And there too, it was like when we weren't sure how many issues the run would be. there was almost a period where like part of the first run would be like almost a Conan, like Conan the Barbarian type Black Panther sort of tale on this weird planet, and then kind of that rolling into the artificial life kind of thing. But
Mm.
when we finally settled on how many issues I hate to keep coming back to this. I had to decide which of those stories felt like the most important to what I wanted to do, and then maybe felt like it could allow for the most like surprise, and I felt like the artificial life ones offered more.
All right. Sword and sandals. I'm all here for it.
I love it.
Might you explore romance in this story? What themes are you mostly focused on in T'Challa's personal journey? Is this a T'Challa that's coming into his Emperor title fully embracing it? Romance with the snake?
I would say in this run, is probably, unfortunately, less romance than would have been possible. Again, I'm going to try to stop saying it, but with more time and space. And instead, this one, in a way, like if you're going to talk about a journey or a relationship, it's more about like what we owe, like in a sense, like the kid Femi, his father died, and T'Challa said at the end of the Imperial War one shot, we'll take care of him. So then the question is, how do you do that? Like essentially as a community, like him and Shuri are a community in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Wakanda is a community. And so when one of our own is orphaned,
it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah.
That's it. And then the other side of it is, and a child can destroy a village.
Yeah.
And so that is like kind of the push and pull of the run on the emotional level.
You're a very deep man, Victor Lavalle.
And the other thing I'd say is like, there's no hemming and hawing about whether or not T'Challa is an emperor. He's
good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Oh God, so much relief. That was gonna be my question towards the end. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. This scene is almost a homage to the jungle. That's the Jungle Action cover. Jungle Action cover 25.
Number 25.
Black Panther. All right. I do question, is Kazar a life model decoy?
He's not that. And I promise you, like, I'm really not trying to be cheeseball, but even by issue 2, you'll start to get a better understanding of what Kazar and Zabu are. And then you'll get a better understanding of like what T'Challa is really facing.
Mm. All right. Why did you have T'Challa shave? I liked his bearded look. It really grew on me. Pun intended, I'm sure.
Yeah, I understand. I would say, like, you'll see, like, if you read the first issue of this one, at the end when M'Baku encounters another T'Challa, he's got the beard, and so it was basically like one of them needs to have a beard, one of them needs to be clean shaven, just so you, when you're looking at the page, have a sense of who is who.
Who's who? Yeah, that makes sense. The Ebony Guard, what inspired that idea? Was that nod back to T'Challa's use to wield the ebony blade?
I mean, I knew he certainly had, but it was really, honestly, as I was saying earlier to Paul, like I just thought it sounded like a real cool name for like a private army.
It just sounded cool.
Yeah.
All right. In Ultimate Black Panther comics, Bryant is taking, I think it means Brian Edward Hill is taking heavy inspiration from Dune. Is there pieces of media that may be an influence in this overall story?
Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned Conan at one point.
Yeah, yes. So Conan, for like almost literally for the first 2-3 pages of the run. Weirdly, one of the ones that I don't know if this is going to send a wrong impression, but it has always stayed with me, was the X-Men run when New York gets turned again back into like a Conan type time, when Kulan Gath, whatever his name is, takes over Manhattan.
Sorcerer, yeah.
Yeah. And there's this one scene in particular where I forget who the character is who's being uh, taken through like maybe it's a subway tunnel or something, but he sees Peter Parker has been crucified on a on a on like a on some wooden planks by Kulan Goth, and there's just this moment where I don't want to say any more than that, but there's a way that that literally that scene, and essentially what happens is Peter Parker is the only person who can speak English because it's been turned into this ancient city thanks to the magic, and he's shouting to whoever it is in the X-Men who's being brought forth, trying to tell them how to stop the sorcerer, but no one can understand him, and he's so determined that he essentially just sort of like rips himself off the cross, even though he's been hammered in there with these energy spikes. And there's something about like the indomitable will of like a good man that made an impression on me when I was whatever age I was when I read that, like 13. And the idea that like, even though no one can understand me, I'm not going to give up.
Right.
Even though I'm crucified on this thing, I'm not going to give up. And that energy, I would say, in a weird way, if that makes sense, by the end, if it makes sense, was an influence and is a continuing influence in anything comics related that I write.
That's what's up. So this comic doesn't ties with Illuminati from the New Avengers by Humphreys. Context: they are clones created by Jackal. Luke Charles is a clone of Black Panther. That's a recent comic run. I don't know if you've read it.
I have not read it, so no, it has no. This is. I guess the Marvel universe is just spilling over with clones and Skrulls and everything else. So mine is my own little pocket of that.
There's rarely anything new under the sun.
That's right. That's right.
All right. We going to see some impressive tech feats from T'Challa. I don't read Black Panther to see T'Challa glaze some other characters' intellect.
I would say T'Challa is the smartest person in my run. That's for sure. And Shuri is the second. And then and there's nobody who, there might be some people you're going to see. There's some people who might talk like they're smarter, but it's clear. It'll be clear who the brains of the operation is.
And that's an important point for this part. I have always said Black Panther's, I don't know if you know, Black Panther's my favorite superhero. It's been favorite for like over 30 years. But what sets him apart for me, there are characters that are stronger and faster, have more abilities than he has. His greatest superpower in my mind has always been his mind, his brain, his intellect. The fact that he was trained from birth to be a tactical genius, to always think 5 steps ahead of his opponents. That's his superpower. That's his greatest superpower for me.
Yeah.
And in doing what you're doing with this run, you've got him in an alien world. He's isolated. There's no help. There's no tech. There's no gear. He has to use his intellect just to cobble together a radio.
That's right.
Contact Shuri. But he's got his blades with him, and he's got his mind, and he's got his brawn. That's it. It's a very stripped down scenario for T'Challa that's reminiscent. We talked about jungle action. It's very reminiscent of him in the jungle action era. I mean, it really has some reminders to Don McGregor's take on the parts of Wakanda that were sort of prehistoric, the wild parts of Wakanda, the savage landish type of parts.
Yes.
And how he reacted to being in those scenarios. And that's what it's really, if you're a Black Panther fan, what he's doing is giving you classic jungle action type of T'Challa here. And I think that's kind of dope.
Thanks. Yeah. And the only other thing he has, because it will come up in the later issues, he has his suit, right? and the tech that's in his suit, but he has to work with the environment and has to work like in that first issue. I wanted to show him devising this radio, this long range radio, out of the parts from the artificial life forms, just so you'd be like, okay, he's brilliant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Would you consider working on Black Panther as an ongoing series?
I mean, that was my original pitch. So yes, I would have loved it. And it was just, as I say again, uh, conversations that are above me said like, okay, well, what we can do right now is this. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe something else is in the works. I'm completely not a part of any of that. But in the end, they said like, this is what we can do. Do you think you could do something with this? And I said, I will do something with that for sure, just for the chance to, have a run with him.
Yeah. Let's see. It was a Shuri and Femi story first, so T'Challa was the afterthought.
No, it's not that. It's just more like I didn't presume that I was going to get to write T'Challa. Like the original, I don't know if they originally had him in a different blah, blah, blah. And they were more like, all right, here's some of the things we're thinking about. And I said, oh, I could think of this cool Shuri Femi story when coming out of the Imperial run. And then they said, well, what would happen if you could also have T'Challa? And so it was never an afterthought. It was more like a dream bigger. Remember that scene in Inception? When he says, Tom Hardy's like, you must learn to dream bigger, boy. That's what I needed to do, and then this is what we came to.
You try to do a niche pitch, something different, in the hopes that, hey, I mean, there's no way I could possibly get Black Panther, but what if I give you this this niche of that universe? And they're like, no, you're Victor Lavalle, you can do Black Panther.
They said, well, but I mean, setting aside the you're Victor Lavalle part, they did say like, no. What about if it was all of the two of them together? What would that look like? And so I was excited that I got that chance.
Yeah. And it's not Luke Charles from New Event. No, he said it's not.
It's definitely not.
Will there be an evolution to T'Challa's King of the Dead or psychic abilities, cosmic awareness?
Possibly at the end of this. As I said, I'm like working on the fourth script now, so that may come into it eventually. But like in a lot of ways, it's an intergalactic story, but it's almost like what's being planted here is what will grow into a grand intergalactic potential kind of thing. But there's just only so much I can address.
Wow, his psychic abilities, cosmic awareness. That's a deep cut.
Yes.
Hats off to you, God, MVs, K's, Visions. That's, you got to be hardcore Black Panther fan to get that reference. I respect that. Will we get T'Challa ongoing after this? Well, that thank you for asking that question. That depends on all of you. These books are up for pre-order. Victor Lavalle says he's written 4 issues, that's what he's cleared to do. If you're asking if there can be more, you have to pre-order these current coming up books. 2 and 3 are already up for pre-order. Pre-order those books, get the numbers in, try to get as many of the alternate covers as you can, and that's what the publishers look at, and they see the numbers come in. They see the orders from the retailers saying they want all these pre-orders, and they go, the people like Victor Lavalle's story, so let's greenlight him to go write some more. That's how it works. It's as simple as that. So pre-order the book. Put your money where your hopes are and pre-order the book. All right. Oh, we got another super chat. From the same guy, Cobbs. Personally, you're one of my favorite authors, top 5. I've admired your work since Ballad of Black Tom. Look at that. The racecraftian elements has been influential on my aspirations as a future racecraft horror writer.
Wow. I appreciate that a lot, and I'm happy if that book in particular was useful and like interesting, and I guess I just look forward to seeing whatever you create in the future. In that, I feel like the beauty of that genre in particular is like I just think there's so much more room for us in it.
That's just great. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions here. What's up with the ski? I think we talked about that. We
We
don't know.
talked about that. Your guess is as good as mine. It's just fun.
Did he write Imperial Black Panther? Yes, he did.
Yes.
That was Victor. Is T'Challa ever going to be shown as a true leader in the end? That's
again. That's beyond me.
That's kind of above his pay grade.
Yes.
Someone made a comment. Ebony Guard is like the Rest Guard. I guess from England. I guess I don't know. The Red Guard. Red Guard.
Oh, the Red Guard. Gotcha.
Will Femi become a second coming of Enjakata? Ooh,
that's a good question.
A spoiler to answer that.
I'm only gonna say that's a very good question.
Yeah, because it says here, Femi seems to be loyal to his father, but speaks proudly of Enjakata. I can never say that word, and his ruling. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, he was. That's his father worked for the emperor. He looked up to his father.
Right. Were there any fears, apprehensions you had when first writing T'Challa? I mean, there's some pressure there. I mean, you can't
for sure.
It's a high-profile character.
For sure. Well, in a way, it was nice that I got to do the Imperial War one-shot first, and like that one-shot, realistically, could only move the ball so far because then he has to slot back into the Imperial storyline as a whole, and so I actually liked getting to just do that the once and just try out a few places where I could. It's almost like I was just figuring out the tone of my version of Black Panther, right? And so that scene with Gladiator or the scene when he's talking to all the races, that got to be where I say like, okay, I think this is how I want him to sound. This is the energy I want him to bring. But because he then has to slot back into the Imperial thing, I don't have to come up with a whole big narrative for him yet. But and so then when I started sitting down to write this run, it took a little pressure off because I felt like, well, I already have the kind of like the tone and the swagger of this Black Panther. Now I just need a story to put him into. So in a way, I took some pressure off because I got to do it in like 2 parts, But of course, is like I tell you, like I put it this way: nobody was waiting to see if I would mess up Sabretooth. But I knew that there was room. There was lots of folks who being like, let's just see what this dude does with Black Panther. So, it's absolutely like 1,000 levels up.
All right. Let's see. Next question. Does he have to reference scientific articles and such to write such an intelligent character? So are you doing homework when you're doing these science reference points?
Yeah, I think you'll see like here or there. There's definitely some things where I'm not personally like a naturally scientific minded person, so I definitely have to do some reading, particularly when it comes to like artificial life and AI and like that kind of stuff. And more than like how does AI work? It's more like the kind of things that go into its development, where it might go. Like that kind of stuff, I definitely had to do some reading.
What's the next one? Racecraftian. What does racecraftian mean?
It just means so. There's in horror, what the most maybe one of the most famous
Lovecraft
writers is Lovecraft, but then Lovecraft was incredibly racist as a writer. So sometimes when you're writing a story that's set in some of that Lovecraftian universe, but you are wrestling with the questions of race, it can be called racecraftian.
Yeah. Will we see Black Panther use different fighting techniques in the action? Also, can we get a sequel to Black Tom?
You will see him doing fighting in a number of different ways. Like basically, you'll see his his fighting style changed depending on who the enemy is, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you will see that. And then I started working. I'll be honest with you. I started working on a sequel to Black Tom like a year ago, and then I had to stop for good reasons. For good reasons, like I got some TV work, and so that took over. But I absolutely have another a second book, a sequel, let's say, in the works.
Are there any pitfalls, traps you did not want to fall into when writing your personal characterizations, T'Challa?
Well, it's two things, and like one is what has come up is like I wanted him to be a self-assured T'Challa and feel confident in the choices he'd made, particularly like the choice that I am stepping back into this role as the leader of this nation, of this empire. I wanted that to be a thing that he was not second guessing.
Right.
And mostly because for me, it's more that was already explored, right? So I didn't see the need to explore that again with mine. And then the other thing, I personally, one of the things I liked a lot about Hudlin's run was I like a T'Challa that is, he's regal, he's formal, he's incredibly intelligent, but I like it when he talks a little bit more like conversational, like not
colloquial.
Like not ultra formal. And I really like the Hudlin run that he could be funny sometimes, that he would joke, he would this and that. So while I didn't go quite as colloquial as Reggie Hudlin, I did want him to sound a little more like someone you might actually talk to, like on the sidewalk or something like that.
Right.
Like somewhere in between the formal and the informal. And so that was because sometimes I feel like sometimes when he becomes a little too formal, for me, what I'm afraid of is he sounds like he's just no fun, like that's my fear. But I always think he's amazing. Like, I think someone that's smart is also funny, can also like speak formally to like diplomats, but then with Shuri, he can be a little more at ease, like that kind of thing. So I wanted a little variety in there.
How was it writing Space in Baku? Did you have the Winston Duke in the back of your head when writing him?
I mean, it's pretty hard to forget Winston Duke, as M'Baku. He was definitely in my mind, but I mentioned earlier that I was thinking of Ossie Davis's eulogy. That's the word I was looking for, of Malcolm X. And so I actually had in mind also Ossie Davis, if people remember him, and the way that he could, if you remember him in particular, like not the drunken part, but like in Do the Right Thing, when he plays the mayor.
The mayor, yeah.
And like the part of him where he's just sort of the older head who's got some wisdom, who's seen some things. And then in the movie, in Do the Right Thing, he's dealing with alcoholism. But in M'Baku's case, he was betrayed, he was stabbed in the back, he was wounded, so he's a little paranoid, but he still has that same wisdom. Was the energy that I was trying to channel.
That's it. I got it. I'm going.
Got it. I'm going. Yeah.
Classic. All right. Oh, in follow up, would you have Winston Duke play Space in Baku as well, if you had to say so on another actor to fits the, or is there another actor that fits that in your head?
I mean, I would always cast Winston Duke in anything I could. I think he's amazing. I loved him in Us. Like, the other thing I loved him in Us because he was also funny.
Yeah.
Let's
see. Someone says racecraftian type stories are like the Bitterroot universe. Yeah, very much.
That's
so.
right. That's right.
I saw some talk on X from a fan that this might be an anti-AI story. But what personal commentaries are you trying to make on your Black Panther story? Or do you want to let the story sing first?
I would say what matters the most is that people actually have a good time reading the comic. Like, that is actually what matters the most. And so as a result, like I hope like I make it like I create some good mysteries. I hope there's maybe here or there a little humor that's enjoyable, and I hope there's like great action, great fight scenes, and then that Stefano's art gets a chance to shine because it is so good. And then if somewhere in there, threaded within there, there might be some conversations about technology and its place in our lives, and how or why it's meant to serve us, or are we meant to serve it. I think that is a useful and interesting and like very current thing to think about, but I would never make that the point of the comic.
Message.
Thank you. Hey, the only thing I'm going to say, I do appreciate that very much. That was perfect. I do have to. I think I got to hop off in 2 minutes to put these kids to bed.
All
I
right,
do apologize. Do that.
We're just about done. T'Challa lost some students back in Priest Run. I know the Femi harbors some bitterness. Soft spot for kids. Might Femi become a mentee of his family? I guess read the book and find out.
That's, I mean, I think like as someone else asked earlier, you know, the push and pull might be a father who worked for Njidaka, Black Panther, like two models of manhood and what you might become. And then Femi is a really brilliant young man. That strikes me as a very natural kind of question.
Yeah.
For the book.
Last question. The Crown, is it some sort of techno pocket-like universe?
It's not that. It's something else.
Semi-last question. Do you imagine the characters vocalizing T'Challa's name with the T silent? That's always a debate ever since that came out.
I always imagine it with the T vocalized.
There is one issue in which she said the T is silent, and people have been like, "Oh, we've been pronouncing it wrong for years."
Right. Well, that's like Cthulhu, right? You're supposed to say Cthulhu.
Right.
So, you know, but I don't know. I always still say T'Challa.
That's the proper way.
Yeah.
All right, Victor. We have a tradition here at Black Comic Lords that when you interview with us, we consider you family. So what I'd like you to do is to look into the camera, say your name, and say, "I am a Black Comic Lord."
My name is Victor Lavalle, and I am a Black Comic Lord.
There you go. Now you are a member of the squad.
I do appreciate it.
Look, I appreciate your time with us. It's been a pleasure having you on. I truly am a big fan of your work. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. We'll try and support you every way we can. All of you out there, support him by doing your pre-orders. Get this book going. Let's see if we can get this run to keep going, because you saw how much he packed into one issue. Imagine what he could do with the whole 20 issues that he wants to do. Let's make it happen. So thank you all for joining us. Victor, any last words?
I just want to say thank you to you, Paul, and then to everybody who's watching for your questions. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you reading. It means a lot.
And we appreciate you, man. Come back anytime. If you want to promote, if you want to do more of the issues, every issue that comes out, you want to come back, let us know. You're welcome back anytime. All right?
Beautiful.
All right. All right, fam. Black Comic Lords.
Peace.
We got you.